The new iPhone is almost here. Apple has unveiled that they're going to hold their event for September 9th, which feels like a couple days earlier than usual, which is interesting. Personally, this year I am very excited because Apple has shown us in the past year that they are taking content creation, filmmaking, and photography a little extra serious. Last year we got Apple Log with the fast USB-C port, filming straight to SSDs. We got the Blackmagic camera app. They're filming all their own events on iPhones, editing on iPads and Macs, all this stuff. I'm going to be talking with my longtime friend of this channel, Vadim, who's one of the founders of Bscript. If you're looking for someone who is in the trenches of what is going on with iPhone filmmaking and all the latest rumors and stuff in the camera world, he is definitely one of the best people to talk to. So we're just gonna have a very casual conversation talking about the latest rumors for the iPhone 16, what we hope to personally see ourselves, what we think may or may not happen. Comment down below what snack you're gonna be munching on while you watch this video. Let's get into it. What I mostly was curious about, it seems like in terms of the three cameras, obviously there's going to be a new main sensor, and from what I saw, we're not going to get any sort of like 8K bigger resolution stuff, but the sensor apparently has lesser noise and better dynamic range, and the ultra wide angle is also going to get the 48 megapixel. I doubt it's this. Do you think it's going to be the same sensor? It's probably not going to be the same one.
No, I don't think so, because they usually put like lower end sensors on secondary cameras and keep the best for the main camera. I think it's just gonna be just an additional boost in performance in terms of like low light, like you said. Probably we're gonna get better image quality, and for the main sensor for sure. But for other cameras, for 48 megapixel sensors, it's definitely going to be upgrade. We're going to get better image quality. But I'm not that concerned about other cameras, because for me, like main camera, that's the best camera, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that. But do you think, like, what do you think they also going to do? Like, because this year we heard rumors about that dedicated shutter button for the camera.
Yeah, I mean, the shutter button thing, when I first heard the rumor, I was like, I wish, but I doubt that's going to happen. And then as the months went on and, schematics start leaking and, various case companies such as yourselves, I feel like starting to get the hint that it's really happening, I was like, all right, it's going to happen. And I'm personally all for it, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm almost viewing like the iPhone's no longer like a phone to me, and it's just really it is the new like personal camera. But I like the button, and I know you and I talked last week about the differences between right now. I think it's showing that it's going to be trying to mimic like a DSLR camera, where you can have like a half press to focus and then like swipe on top of it to like zoom in and out and stuff. And I don't know, that could be very interesting. There's a potential for a lot of accidental or like weird glitches with that, I could see, but because that's what, like a mix of like mechanical but also capacitive.
We'll see. I think it's probably gonna be like some capacitor button or whatever, not mechanical. And the interesting thing is how that gonna react to just mechanical pressure from anything. Is it just gonna react to a finger, like touch screen, or is gonna react just to the pressure? Because for us, for example, with a cage, if we given access to that button, if it's just mechanical pressure gonna work, it's easy for us just to integrate another mechanical button and have it. However, if it's some sort of capacitor or whatever it is, and it has to react to touch, then that's kind of an issue, because we don't know what it's gonna be, and we just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But another thing is, it's like in the design, like if you have cage, I get it when you have like just your iPhone and they gonna put it where is your finger, so it's gonna be like natural shutter button, just to press on it or do whatever slides. However, if it's like inside of the cage, which is already like bigger, it becomes really awkward because we tried to put our hands on and see how it's gonna feel, it doesn't feel right unless you do like low angle shot where you keep your cage like that and press with your thumb, Yeah, that's something that we are waiting for to see, like, with official release, and then just get actual phones and try and test them, because
Well,
again, if it's gonna work mechanically, probably we're gonna integrate the shutter button. If not, then probably we're not gonna do anything about that. But we'll see. I don't want to kind of make decision right now.
sure, because it's rumored to go where this antenna is. You're going to press it in some way when you're just holding your phone, regardless of if you don't have a case or not. And so it's going to be something that's like, oh, if the camera app isn't already opened, it's got to be deactivated. And so, like, the original rumors, I thought they would just build more features into this button, the action button or whatever, because that kind of makes sense. I mean, most of the time you have the camera lenses on the left side, but I don't know, like, I feel like that would make more sense. My guess is if they do anything creative, it'll be something software. I'm trying to think where they kind of left off cinematic mode, because I don't use that too often, but maybe, I don't know, if there's some way to combine like cinematic mode with Apple Log, or I don't know, it's something really like tricky and very Apple-like last minute for some software feature would be my guess. So I don't know. Do you want to talk about where we kind of see things going, or would like to go from after the 16 even?
Who's gonna start, you or me? What's your wish list?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest, I'll throw it out there, and then like I said, I'm curious more of your thoughts, but my biggest, most, I would say, unrealistic desire would be that they actually go back to a single lens phone, and then they just are able to pack in, a full 1-inch Micro Four Thirds, just as big a sensor as they can get in there with one lens. I had some crazy mechanical idea of like, there's like really old vintage cameras where you had rotating lenses. So that way it's, you still get multiple lenses, but then it's all one sensor, so it's all the same quality.
Yeah.
But that, I think, would be a probably mechanical broken nightmare. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see them go to singular lens, and then if you wanted more lenses on top of that, like just either do digital zoom, which is, the people who use that, it's good enough for them, clearly. And then for everyone else, it's like you pick up physical lenses like you guys create.
We'll see, but probably that's not gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
Because for, I think, general user is like, oh, you have more cameras, more like options, more and more, and it doesn't seem like anyone is kind of cutting back and removing cameras. So probably that's not gonna happen unless maybe if they're gonna create some like ultra model, just like
Yeah, that was teased
best of
last
the
year,
best.
right?
Yeah, but still, I think it's hard to, just for general public, kind of convince them that one is better than three, So
Oh, I can see the TikToks and the Instagram reels already of like, I paid to upgrade my phone and I lost 2 cameras or whatever.
yeah, I don't know at what point they gonna reach that physical limitation. What is the biggest size they can pack in, and still, because I think it's not like the size of the sensor, it's just optics, because bigger sensor, probably that's bigger protrusion for optics. What I'm also hoping for is like mechanical aperture control, like what Samsung did years ago for one of the models, and we saw like a couple other manufacturers recently, they adding that stuff. But at this stage, I guess, where we have such a still tiny sensors, maybe it doesn't make that much sense. But imagine if we get in like larger sensors where, if you have that fixed aperture fixed focal length. Yeah, you can use digital zoom a little bit just to kind of change the perspective a little bit, that's fine, but still you have no control over how much of shallow depths of field you can get. And even at low light, if imagine if you have like control of the aperture from, let's say, some crazy number 1.2 to like 5 whatever, right? But like in general it stays at, let's say, 1.8 or 2, like always, right? However, when we have low light situation, yeah, it's gonna automatically like open that aperture, just to get more lighting in. When you have too much like light, at least through the third-party apps, you have some additional level of control of your exposure, so you don't have to kind of rely on ND filters all the time. At least another level of control, right? But also, like, why I'm hoping for that, because aperture control also helps with external optics a lot. And
okay, that makes sense.
The reason for that is, it's like once sensors getting bigger, faster lenses on those sensors, it becomes challenging, to get like good quality from conversion lenses. I mean,
start
with
to
our
get the
lenses,
really softer edges.
Yeah, because it's all of that kind of starts to combine. Plus, you see, like not every year, but we went from like 31 millimeter focal length equivalent on like original iPhones, or like iPhone 6. I don't remember which was the last iPhone that had 31s, and we went to 28s, and we went to 26. Now we are at 24. So they get in wider, faster, bigger sensors, and you have to cover all of that with your conversion lens. I mean, with our lenses, like with latest iPhones, they all work perfectly. But you see, it becomes challenging. Like, for example, we would love to create like 3x tele lens like we had before. Before, on those older iPhones, it was great, amazing, Now it's not even working on the latest iPhones, It's getting super soft. And
so I remember doing a video, I think maybe 8 months ago or shortly after the 15 came out, and I took all my B script lenses, and I think they all worked except, I think I had your older 2x lens.
The same, because you see, we had 3x and we kind of went to 2x, which was great when we released it, and for like another year or two. But after like iPhone 12 Pro Max was that bigger sensor size jump, that's where it became also kind of problematic, and we had to kind of release new lens. And in that process, we went from like 3x, 2x, now 1.7x, just to achieve good optical performance,
Wow.
Because you don't want to compromise on the quality of the lens, how it works, just to get more kind of magnification. Doesn't make sense, It's better to create like nearly perfect lens that works great. Maybe you don't get as much magnification, but you're getting like excellent image quality. So with that aperture, I remember when we had the 3x and that Samsung, I don't remember what model was that had aperture control, because Samsung usually they put larger sensors faster than Apple, right? They had this jump in sensor size much quicker than Apple did. And I remember when we tested, like when that iPhone Samsung phone came out, we tested our lenses, and 3x didn't work well. However, when you close your aperture, it was perfect, So, and I assume with a lot of lenses, because you see right now, it's like many of the lenses that used to work before, they are not usable anymore. They're just getting very soft, like, or they are not focusing at all from all the different brands. Potentially, like, that aperture control gonna help, to achieve great results with a lot of those lenses. Or even for us as lens manufacturers, it's just gonna be, I mean, you still want to create the perfect, like, good lens that gonna work with kind of everything, but just having that aperture, I think, it's just gonna help to not just gonna get more control over your camera, but also gonna help with like external optics, with DOF adapter especially, because that's kind of another thing. It's hard to create that optics in DOF to get like even nice details across the frame. It's usually like really sharp at the centers and it's getting soft over the sides of the frame.
Oh,
Again, with aperture control, you'll be able to get good quality, across the frame. So
that's a very good point. And I think I couldn't remember if it was a potential rumor for the 16 or people looking at like the 17 or something. But yeah, like you said, if you're just using your phone, it kind of gives you the full exposure triangle back, where right now we just go like, all right, shutter speed or ISO, or I have to find, a filter to throw on top of it and stuff. And now you can actually, or you would be able to have the full control over that. Do you think there would be room in there for some type of like internal ND? Have to be like probably one of those like crazy electronic optic ones or something.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that would definitely be on my wish list. It'd be probably the protrusion to get true aperture control and like a built-in ND would probably be nuts. But
with aperture, I think there is enough room because it's have been done before.
Yeah.
It's not like it was like what Samsung had. It just like have two circles kind of plates that they were like closing and opening up. It's not like those bunch of blades.
It wasn't a multi-blade. Okay.
No, it just was like just squeezing and opening up. Yeah, even I would even go crazy. Just imagine if you have like much bigger sensor and you can put like super fast glass. Let's say it's even like f0.9, right? But when it's like open, maybe it's not perfect over the sides of the frame. Just a little bit is getting fuzzy, whatever. However, if you have that larger sensor and it's super fast glass on that sensor, you're gonna get like really nice shallow depths of field just from your phone. Then you add like
crazy
tele lens and you get in even more depths of field. And maybe if you do close-ups, maybe if it's a little bit soft over the sides, that's fine. But if you do like some scenery shots, or you're focusing like mid-range infinities, then you close your aperture, you get like really nice and like clean image. I think it just would be just great for creators. And yeah, that's on my wish list.
that I think could be a top one. Do you think there's any percentage that we get like surprised with that this year, or you think that's going to be like something that's down the road?
We'll see, but I don't think it's because you see not that many like companies. Samsung did it once. Now I think it's I don't remember. It's like another some Chinese phone brand who did
like
that.
Huawei or something.
Wow, yeah. So it's not too many people doing that. But again, I get it right now. It's just because your sensor is not that big. It's not creating that much of the difference, and it's like they managing to put as much like as fast glass in it to get like nice and clean image. So why you even bother with that? But I'm thinking if it's gonna get to that point where your sensor is like getting really big, it just makes sense, just to have that aperture control, because otherwise it's like you see with out of focus with everything, right? It just creates more like challenges, I guess, more shallow depths of field and faster glass. I don't know. I think at this point there is like no need to invest into that, I guess, because they get in away with great performance without even that aperture. Why you even bother, right?
Sure.
To do that.
Well, and I do feel like and I'm sure every like tech phone or camera company is dealing with like this balance of like mechanical and like actually engineering something to be in the phone versus we're getting so many like software type fixes for it. I mean, cinematic mode was that fix, right? Of like, hey, we can't put really large sensors in here, so we're just going to mimic it with this like computational photography sort of mesh of software design and everything. So it would be interesting if I could see Apple going kind of a way where like, oh, Vadim, you get your aperture, but it's like some weird digital computational photography version where it's like, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, I think honestly it's like that computational and software and image manipulation, that's probably the way it's gonna go anyway. Because again, you're gonna hit that limit what you can put inside of that tiny
Yeah.
device. It doesn't make sense to make it like bigger and bulkier and just because you want to put like great camera. At some point they have to stop, because there is no more room to make it bigger on whatever it is. So once they hit that limit, then it's probably all computational like progression of what they can do with software. That's the way it's gonna go anyway, because there is no other way than that.
As someone who loves like the Vision Pro and all that, obviously it feels like everyone is totally split on it. And I don't think I've even ever asked your opinion on 3D and spatial videos and all that stuff. So we can get that exclusive here. But I will be interested to see if they kind of almost don't even mention, and I feel like they're not going to mention it at all if they like feel like everything in that realm is kind of like flopping. But if they kind of double down on like, no, like this is the year of Vision Pro came out and we want to start, obviously Blackmagic's making a spatial camera. They worked with Canon to make that new lens. And so with spatial photo and video, it'll be interesting to see if they kind of speak on that for like the pro cameras to have like, oh, you're going to be able to shoot spatial videos, which obviously you already can, with some pretty basic specs. So I could see some feature bumps there. They've also promised that like Final Cut will be able to edit spatial photo video, as well as they're working with Blackmagic and DaVinci Resolve. But yeah, I'm curious, do you see that world kind of going anywhere? Is Bscript testing any two lens combos that you can at least talk about? But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm not fully convinced, but as someone who has a Vision Pro and has seen the immersive like 180 content, it is very exciting to see.
I think they will try to make it more like mainstream, because think about that, like it was so many different like ways trying to integrate more immersive like 3D type of experience through cinema, right? Like 3D glasses and those like screens from Red and whatever it was.
The red hydrogen.
It didn't stick. Couple weeks back, and we went to museum. It was a stereoscopic like thing that you can put old photos. It had like two different photos. I mean, same photos from slightly different angle, and you had some lenses, and it was surprisingly good. Like you could see like the depths just from those old photos.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like crazy how, I mean, I get how that works, but it did look really good on that old like wooden stick and couple lenses.
Have you tried Vision Pro before?
No. Can you imagine that?
Next time I'm in Chicago, I'm bringing it, and you gotta try it.
I was like waiting for that. You know what? Not for like entertainment or content. I was waiting for like work, because I was hoping I'm gonna get like, if I connect to the Mac and I have like, I can put any app, any window whenever I want to. That's
Yeah.
what I was waiting for. And when I realized that's not what it is, I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for the next one. But when they
That's
announced
fair.
that now they're gonna support like two 4K kind of screens, that's already like so much better, because I'm working with two screens and I have like software to control each screen, so I can break it for another screen. So I have like a bunch of screens open all the time. I can't work from like single screen. So
Yeah.
like even those two 4K kind of virtual screens, that's already so much better. But now I'm waiting for the next one, you know?
Sure. No, I totally get that. And ever since I got it, and people were like, I don't think I'm going for this one. It's like, totally understand it on this one. I mean, but it
Yeah.
is interesting from getting back to like the camera perspective, because I, when they first talked about like, oh, you can film spatial video both on a Vision Pro headset or on your phone, I remember being like, I'm never gonna film spatial video on the thing, because then you're just like looking even more like an idiot, just kind of like going down, trying to. Your head is, you know, a gimbal camera. But what's funny is because the cameras are spaced obviously further apart than, you know, just the cameras on the back of here, the
Mm-hmm.
immersive feel is so much better.
Okay.
Than, and so I've done a lot of like shot comparisons, shooting the same thing with both the headset and the phone, and it's so much better on that. So like, I don't think we're ever going to see an iPhone where they like have a another like camera lens like right here, maybe, but that would, I don't think, go over too well with mainstream people. But I think we're going to get some mention of that with the 16, is some type of improvement to the spatial photos or videos.
I think like, look, once if it becomes like more like mainstream, that let's say every third person in the world has some sort of Vision Pro or whatever headset that they can like use and watch
Watch
that
immersive
immersive
content.
content, right? Then, and if you have that option on your phone just to record that video, and like for you, just looking on the screens looks like normal video, but here it's more like immersive, then when it's gonna become like, you know, really mainstream, because like if you can just record it and watch in two different ways depending on like where you're watching it at, why would you not record just for like vacation, family, whatever, when you're
Yeah.
not trying to get like ProRes and all of that thing, right? So it's gonna be like a ton of content. Whatever Blackmagic did, I'm interested to see like when it's shot with proper camera, how's that gonna look, you know? But then, like, yeah, if you rig two iPhones and you have ProRes, same exact cameras, you know, and then you put some sort of lenses and DOF adapter, and you have it's not fixed lens. Now you have like options for the lenses, and on top of that you have like shallow depths of field, plus it's immersive. That's interesting, you know, like some crazy rig with two phones and
Yeah.
bunch of lenses and ProRes log and all that together for like piece of immersive content. But also like I want to come back a little bit for like that
Yeah.
cinematic mode for, you know, like fake shallow depths of field. I think what they're gonna do at some point, it's something like, have you seen that Strata episode when they try to compare like red camera to iPhone, and first they
Yeah.
used like cinematic mode, but then they used like ProRes log, and they did like, you know, analyzed and did depth map and like try to replicate. I
Yep.
mean, I think that's gonna be way to go, you know, in the future. Because imagine if on your phone you're not doing all that work, you're just collecting some metadata and all of that stuff, and then you have additional service on your cloud where they analyze it and they prepare that file for you. So then later in DaVinci or Final Cut, you have the control, and then you control like how much of like shallow depths of field you want to get, or maybe you can even control the style of bokeh to replicate some
Ooh.
legendary lenses. Plus it's ProRes log, so you have really nice control over the color. That's what I think kind of it's probably gonna go to, because
Yes.
again, once you hit that limit of physics, there is nothing else you can do. I mean, you can improve like low light performance, all that, what they doing every year, but I think ultimately it's just gonna get to that point where like you can shoot your video and then it's gonna get processed somewhere, and then if you want to edit it and have all this additional controls over the look of your video, you can do that, and
Yeah.
at some point I think it's still challenging, like in like even with portrait mode, if you have some objects that have like defined contours, right? It's easy. Once you get to like hair, leaves, flowers, all of that stuff, it's
Shooting through
okay.
a tree or whatever. Yeah. It's gotten a lot better, but yeah, they still have issues, and yeah, whether it's portrait mode or cinematic mode, you still see those little things where it's like, it kind of ruins that clip because
It's like almost,
yeah.
almost.
But
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right, and that's what I was kind of hoping for towards the beginning when I was like, I hope to see something with cinematic mode more than just, you can go 4K 60 and have a way to build into like the more ProRes pro type shooting modes. And I can't remember in the Strata video if Resolve had come out with their newer defocus background feature, or if they did it the more manual way of doing the depth map and then manually defocusing it that way. Now with that defocus background, like I used it on one of my videos where I wanted to match like my Pocket 6K Pro, and it just did like an iPhone shot, and it just felt a little too sharp on the edges, so I just did like a light version, and it was just a matter of minutes. Now obviously that's a pro still using a professional software, so like you said, if they essentially do what they did with on like the Vision Pro for the photos, and now it's just like one click and then it does the whole depth map conversion to give you that spatial photo from a non-spatial photo. If they do the same thing where it's like the LiDAR's already going on these things, so just shoot that information up to the cloud. How much do you want to defocus it? I really like your idea of like almost like presets of like, oh, here's like a old vintage Russian like, or if you want to mimic an Aries signature line or something, like I don't know, that'd be really interesting to see.
And then coming back to like aperture control, because right now when they
Oh
show like, oh, you can change the focus, right? But it's kind of, it works till some point, because if you have something close to your camera, you already get that shallow depth of field, so your background is not in focus, and you're not going to be able to pull from like foreground to background and change that focus, because initially your image didn't have focus on the background.
yeah.
However, if you have like your aperture closed and everything is almost like in perfect focus, then you have full control and you can kind of run that focus from any point to any depths. So that's probably going to be more beneficial, because if you have like image and each frame is like, you can see it's not getting that real shallow depths of field, so you don't have to kind of analyze it too much to figure out where you start that blur in your object,
Yeah.
because you have everything sharp and in focus. I think it's easier gonna be to like define, analyze, and cut out or like separate that image from the rest. I don't know, but at least like changing the focus point, if something is not in focus originally, you're not gonna get it in focus much.
That's true. That
So
it reminds me of the old, what was it called? Was it LumaCube or something? There was some camera that was just like, we capture all the data,
yeah,
and then you can adjust focus.
Litra or Litra, I don't
Oh
remember.
yeah, Lytra. Yeah, something like
Litra,
that.
okay.
Um, yeah, I remember that camera. It was an interesting concept. Obviously, I think they made two versions and then it kind of flopped. But I think so many of these things come back to like, as long as they can make it a feature or a process that the average person could easily be like, yeah, like that makes sense to do, and I'm always torn because like I don't think people like us mind being like, yeah, give me the 5 steps and I'll do it. Like I'll I'll defocus this and I'll play around with this. But Apple's definitely more in the tune of like, how can we make this to where the average person can just go boop, and then you have, really, really quality stuff. So, that, I mean, besides that stuff, what was on my wish list, I definitely don't think is happening after seeing the Final Cut camera app. Obviously, every year I've wished for just more of a traditional, like Samsung and every other phone does, have a pro mode built into the native camera app. I think they obviously like what everyone's doing in the third party app realm, so they're probably just like, here's our Final Cut camera app.
Bigger battery.
Bigger battery. Well, you went earlier. You said something like, they're probably not going to make it chunkier, which I always agree with. I would love to see some ultra, iPhone or come out where it's like it is thicker because it's got a bigger battery, but that also means you can put in beefier optics or sensors or whatever, because the protrusion could be more if the battery takes up more space in the back. And I know this year one of the big things is like working on thermals. I get this comment all the time. I don't know if you guys get asked the same thing, but people talk about overheating and stuff. I feel like I have recorded so much in a variety of temperatures and shooting modes on the iPhone, and I mean, I've definitely overheated my phone before, but not really from like recording. But I don't know.
Yeah.
This whole
I mean,
thermal.
yeah, it's when it was just released, I could feel right away, like once I took my phone in the hand, started doing something, I could feel that like heat, not even recording anything. It was like
playing
really
around
bad.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just like you could feel right away it's getting like warm, like really warm. With video, I mean, we also like we shoot a lot with iPhones, right? I remember like years ago it was like iPhone 7 or something, but it was like super hot. It was sunny day and it was on tripod, just standing, for like half an hour or whatever, recording something. Then that was one case when it's actually did shut down because of the overheating. Right now, I mean, I'm recording on 15 Pro Max all this time, Hopefully it's not too hot and it's still recording.
I was gonna say, I mean,
so,
more in controlled environments. Yeah, I've shot long sessions like this for around an hour, if not a little bit more, and never had issues. If I'm on like you said, if I'm in an environment where like, I'm trying to think, a couple years ago, maybe 13, testing ProRes on like a beach. If the sun is just beaming on the phone while you're recording, can definitely see some issues there. But yeah, I mean, so it's cool if they build in more thermal protections around the battery and ways to dissipate the heat, then I'm all for it.
yeah.
But
yeah, again, I personally, because I travel a lot and I do like a lot of those, like, during the travel, some sample videos with different lenses, I never had any issue because I'm not recording like 20-minute takes, just few seconds here, few seconds there, but it's always like my camera is running, and I'm always kind of, but yeah, I never had any issue. And even with battery, like I also like with iPhone 15 Pro Max, it's like if we're going hiking for the whole day, it's usually last, but to be honest, that phone is just for the camera with me.
Yeah.
It's not my phone that I use. So it's just strictly for camera. There is no connection, so probably that helps a lot to preserve battery life. But I had like whole day of shooting, without any issues. So
yeah,
and another another just trick I did, like with SSD drives, I was just like recording on my phone just to preserve battery, and then saving that footage whenever I had a chance, just to copy everything to like SSD drive quickly, so I have more space on my phone. Because problem is with drives, you connect it's constantly draining your battery. So that's like the biggest kind of problem what it is right now. It just like draining your battery no matter what you do, like if you're not using camera. So, and I was doing like, okay, I'm gonna unplug it, because I'm not using, but it was just like too much, plugging and unplugging. Sometimes you can forget if you did unplug or no.
Sure.
So that was my like last time on the trip. I was just having my
really
SSD
smart.
with me, but usually recording to phone just to preserve the battery.
I have noticed, when you shoot to SSDs, they usually pull like 5 or 10 watts, but that definitely can drain it pretty quick. And that's actually a good segue to, I know one of the last things that I was hoping for was an up in the internal capacity. Heck, I would love to see them jump past 2 terabytes and just go straight for like 4 terabytes, but that's definitely not going to happen. But I don't know if they can fit the same sort of SSD that's in like the top tier iPad Pros, but yeah, man, like I shoot ProRes LT, and since the 15s come out, I've probably had to like fully empty my phone from ProRes footage probably 5 or 7 times. I mean, it's often, and I'm sure you guys, I know, like you said, if it's a dedicated phone for content creation, like you have to do it quite a bit, or else you'll fill it up, even if it is just 20-second clips here and there. And yeah, so I would love to see a bigger storage capacity, but they'll also love charging a lot more for storage upgrades.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, again, with SSDs, it's great if you like in this production environment where you can swap them quickly, and that makes total sense. It just like look, if you have, again, batteries, that's the biggest kind of problem for me right now. I'm hoping if like somehow, I don't know who's like SanDisk or gonna make something to like recognize, okay, you're not recording right now, let's shut it down. And once or even if you like, even if your camera app is on the background because you're not recording at the moment, or if you like power off your phone, so okay, just stop draining battery, just disconnect, please. And once it's like, okay, you unlocked your phone, okay, turn it on, or if you're inside of the video app, then turn it on. That would be like ideal, because if I'm trying to be light and just, I have my rig just with lens handle and like that drive, I don't want to put battery on top. I don't want to have extra cable. It's not in that situation where I can do that, but it's not convenient,
Yeah.
So just those little like updates and make it that little bit more like, convenient for just general use by preserving the battery. That's all I'm asking for right now.
It's a couple lines of code.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like Drive or like apps or software on phone, but I'm pretty sure it's possible and it should be done, because that's, again, for me, the only kind of things that I don't like about drives in those situations where I don't want to, like, I want to preserve my battery. I don't want to have like my power bank connected and anything else. I'm just trying to be as light as possible, but still, I want to record ProRes log and I need that drive,
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah. And I think most of the time I've done what you have, where it's like you shoot internal and then let me just dump it to this drive afterwards. So that is a really good tip.
Yeah, because right now we have like power, which sort of is a splitter, we have drive, so everything good, I hope, because it's a long video.
Yeah, we're about to hit like at least on my recording, an hour or so. So for anyone listening, at least the raw version of this is going on about an hour. So it is crazy that you can even do that on a phone. There's ProRes for that long. It's crazy.